Admiral Jiwon Park stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station, watching the stars through the massive window. She had served in the defense fleet for 20 years and tonight felt different. The sensors showed nothing unusual, but her instincts screamed danger. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from the Galactic Council," her communications officer said. Jiwon nodded and activated the screen. The Council's spokesman appeared, its alien features unreadable. "Humanity has been evaluated. You are deemed a threat to galactic stability. Your expansion ends now." Before Jiwon could respond, the transmission cut off. Then her world exploded into chaos. The sky above Earth filled with fire. Weapons platforms that had protected humanity for decades simply vanished in brilliant flashes. Jiwon watched in horror as the Luna Station, home to 15,000 people, turned into a ball of flame. Dr. Minho Choi worked there. He was supposed to visit his daughter next week. "All defense stations are under attack," someone shouted. Jiwon grabbed her command chair as the station shook. Through the window, she saw dozens of alien ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They were everywhere. "Return fire. Get our people to the escape pods," Jiwon ordered, but deep down she knew it was too late. The attack was too coordinated, too massive. This was not a battle. This was execution. On the Council's capital world, Hana Kim sat in a conference room full of alien diplomats. She had been invited to discuss a new trade agreement. Now she understood the truth. The aliens were celebrating. Large screens showed Earth's orbital stations burning. They showed Mars' colony going silent. They showed human ships being torn apart across the solar system. "You monsters," Hana whispered. A guard grabbed her arm roughly. She watched the screens, tears running down her face as her entire species died. "Secure her," one of the council members said. "Keep her alive. She is evidence that the job is complete." Millions of miles away, Captain Taeyang Yoon commanded the colony ship New Dawn. They were traveling to a distant star system, carrying 5,000 colonists in cryogenic sleep. His communications officer suddenly looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, we're receiving emergency broadcasts from Earth. Multiple channels. All of them are. They're distress calls." Taeyang felt his blood turn cold. "Put it through." The bridge filled with screaming. Dozens of voices overlapping, calling for help, reporting attacks, saying goodbye. Then one by one, the voices went silent. Earth's signal vanished. Mars stopped transmitting. "The outer colonies fell quiet. What's happening?" Taeyang asked, but he already knew. He pulled up the long-range sensors. Where Earth's bright signature should have been, there was only fading heat. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Unknown vessels. They're destroying everything." His officer's voice broke. "Sir, I'm not detecting any human signals anymore, nothing, they're all gone." Taeyang sat down heavily. His wife was on Earth, his parents, his brother and his family. 5,000 people slept peacefully on his ship, not knowing they were among the last humans alive. "Send out emergency signals on all human frequencies," he ordered quietly. "If anyone else survived, we need to find them." Over the next hours, responses came. A cargo ship that had been in deep space. A research vessel studying a comet, a military frigate that barely escaped the initial attack. By the end of the day, Taeyang had counted 17 ships, maybe 50,000 people total, from 8 billion to 50,000 in a single day. The Galactic Council broadcast their victory across all channels. They announced that humanity had been eliminated due to their dangerous nature. They divided human territory among themselves. Earth would be left as a monument to what happens when species become too aggressive. But they made one critical mistake. They assumed 50,000 survivors were not a threat. They assumed that a broken, scattered people would simply fade away into the darkness. They assumed that humans would accept their fate and die quietly. Taeyang gathered all the surviving ship captains on a secure channel. 17 faces appeared on his screen. Some were crying. Some were blank with shock. Some burned with rage. "They think we're finished," Taeyang said slowly. "They think they've won, haven't they?" someone asked. Taeyang looked at each face. "We have 50,000 people. We have 17 ships. We have all of human knowledge, human history, and human ingenuity. Most importantly, we have something they don't understand." He paused. "We have nothing left to lose." The other captains stared back at him. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. "We survive," Taeyang said. "We hide, we learn. We prepare, and one day, they will regret leaving even one human alive." In the darkness beyond the solar system, humanity's survivors disappeared into the void, and the galaxy assumed the problem was solved. 6 months had passed since Earth died. In the frozen darkness of the Kuiper Belt, 17 human ships floated silently among ancient ice and rock. Inside those ships, 50,000 survivors existed in a state between life and death. Dae-hyun Lee had been an admiral once. Now he was simply the man everyone looked to for answers. He floated through the corridors of his ship, seeing the hollow eyes of people who had lost everything. Children who would never see Earth. Parents who would never see their children again. Everyone carried the same empty expression. Dae-hyun, you need to see this. So-min Han, the chief engineer, called him to her workshop. The room was filled with salvaged equipment and broken alien technology. So-min hadn't slept in days. Her hands were covered in cuts from handling sharp metal. What did you find? Dae-hyun asked. So-min pulled up a holographic display. Remember the Black Site research facility near Neptune? The secret military lab? I found pieces of it drifting in space. Dr. Minho was working on something before he died. Her voice cracked slightly at the name. Weapon prototypes. Things that break the rules of conventional warfare. She showed him the designs. Torpedoes that could tear apart the fabric of space. Drones guided by artificial intelligence that could think faster than any organic mind. And something else, something that made Dae-hyun's breath catch. Is that what I think it is? He asked. A star killer, So-min confirmed. It can collapse a sun. Dr. Minho's notes say it was 90% complete. With the resources we've salvaged, I think I can finish it. Dae-hyun stared at the design. One weapon that could destroy an entire solar system. How many can you build? With what we have? Maybe 12. But Dae-hyun, if we use these, we become what they accused us of being, Dae-hyun finished. I know. In another part of the fleet, Junho Nam sat surrounded by screens, listening to intercepted alien communications. He had been an intelligence officer in Earth's diplomatic corps. Now he spent every waking hour breaking into council networks, learning their secrets. They're celebrating, Junho told Dae-hyun during their daily meeting. The council species are dividing up our territory. They're mining Earth's ruins for resources. They're erasing every trace that we existed. What else? Dae-hyun could tell Junho was holding something back. I found classified council documents, the real reason they killed us. Junho pulled up files filled with alien text. They weren't afraid of our aggression. They were afraid of our progress. In 200 years, we went from wooden ships to faster-than-light travel. It took most council species 5,000 years to achieve the same. Dae-hyun read the projections. According to council scientists, humanity would have surpassed every other species within a century. In 2 centuries, humans would have dominated the galaxy through technology alone. They killed us because we were too good, Junho said bitterly. Because we learned too fast. Because we could have been better than them. In the medical bay, Dr. Yuna Song treated the survivors. Malnutrition, depression, radiation exposure from damaged ships. She did her best with limited supplies. But she also had another project, one she kept secret from everyone except Dae-hyun. Come see, she told him late one night. She led him to a sealed laboratory. Inside were samples of alien biology, taken from captured council equipment and dead crew from their attacks. I've been studying them, Yuna explained. Every species in the council. Their biology, their weaknesses, their genetic structures. She pulled up detailed charts. The Valorians can't process certain proteins. The Kryn have vulnerable respiratory systems. The Thalorians have a genetic weakness to specific viruses. You're building biological weapons, Dae-hyun said. I'm building insurance, Yuna corrected. If they had left us alone, I would have spent my life healing people. They chose to make me this instead. Dae-hyun called a meeting of all ship captains. 50,000 people watched on screens throughout the fleet as their leaders gathered. We face a choice, Dae-hyun told them. We can run. We can find some empty corner of the galaxy and hide. Maybe we survive. Maybe we die out slowly over generations, or... He paused, looking at all those desperate faces. We can fight back. Fight? Someone shouted. They have thousands of ships. Millions of soldiers! We're 50,000 people in broken ships. Yes, Dae-hyun agreed. And that's exactly why we'll win. They think we're dead. They think we're no threat. They've already stopped looking for us. We have the one advantage that matters. They don't know we're coming. So-min stepped forward. We have weapons they've never seen. Technology they don't understand. And we have something else. She looked at the crowd. We have rage. We have grief. We have nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. A vote was called. Every survivor cast their decision. The results came back unanimous. Not a single person voted to run and hide. Daehyun felt something shift in that moment. These weren't victims anymore. They weren't refugees or survivors. They were something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Then we prepare, Daehyun announced. We train, we build. We learn everything we can about our enemies, and when we're ready, we show them what happens when you try to exterminate humanity. In her laboratory, Yuna worked on her biological weapons. In the workshops, Somin and her engineers built terrible new tools of war. Throughout the fleet, people trained for combat, studied alien weaknesses, and prepared themselves mentally for what they would become. The galaxy thought humanity was dead. They had no idea that in the darkness something far more dangerous was being born. 1 year after Earth fell, the first Council outpost disappeared. The station was small, monitoring a trade route in the outer territories. 50 alien workers operated the facility. One day it was there. The next day, passing ships found only debris, no distress signal, no survivors. Just twisted metal floating in space. The Council investigated but found nothing. They declared it an accident and moved on. The second outpost vanished 2 weeks later. This time there was a brief transmission. Someone screaming, then silence. By the fifth outpost, the Council realized they were under attack. Yun Wukang led the Ghost Squadron from the cockpit of his stealth fighter. 15 ships invisible to sensors, deadly as a knife in the dark. They had spent months perfecting their tactics. Strike fast, kill everything, disappear before anyone knew they were there. Target acquired, his pilot Yun Bishin reported. She was the best flyer in the squadron, cold, efficient, and absolutely fearless. Council patrol ship, 6 crew members. Light them up, Hyun-woo ordered. The patrol ship never knew what hit them. One moment they were drifting peacefully through space. The next, their hull was ripped apart by weapons that shouldn't exist. Ghost Squadron was gone before the debris stopped spinning. Yunbi checked her kill count. 23 confirmed. Her ship's hull was painted with marks for each one. She wanted 100. She wanted 1,000. Nothing would bring her family back. But every dead alien helped the pain a little. On a Council communication station, Jisoo Park sat in front of stolen alien equipment, her fingers dancing across the controls. She had been a hacker before the war, breaking corporate security for fun. Now she broke the Council's most secure networks. She had access to everything: military communications, supply routes, defense schedules, and she used that access to spread chaos. Attention Council Defense Fleet, she broadcast on their secure channel, using a modified human voice. We are coming. We are the ghosts of Earth. We will take everything from you. The broadcast lasted 3 seconds before they shut it down, but 3 seconds was enough. Now they knew someone was in their systems. Now they knew humans had survived. Now they were afraid. Jisoo smiled and started her next task. She planted false orders in their military databases, sent ships to wrong coordinates, made their supply convoys arrive at empty stations, turned their own systems against them. Min Jae-oh was an expert in making things break. Before Earth died, he designed security systems. Now he designed failures. He would sneak aboard Council ships, plant tiny devices in their engines, their life support, their navigation computers. The devices would wait, sometimes for weeks, before activating. A Council battleship jumped to faster than light speed. The device in their engine triggered. The ship tore itself apart, a space station hosting 1,000 soldiers. The life support failed suddenly. By the time they fixed it, half the station was dead. A supply convoy carrying weapons to the Council's core worlds. Every navigation system failed simultaneously. The ships crashed into each other in a chain reaction of explosions. Minji never fired a weapon, but his kill count was higher than anyone else's. The Council started to panic. They couldn't find the attackers. They couldn't predict where the next strike would happen. They doubled security. They investigated their own people for traitors. They implemented new safety protocols. Nothing worked. How are they doing this? A Council general demanded during an emergency meeting. We destroyed their homeworld. We wiped them out. Obviously not all of them, another counselor replied. The question is how many survived? 10? 100? Are we being attacked by a significant force or just a handful of terrorists? They had no idea they were facing 50,000 people, organized and trained, working together with one purpose: Revenge. Hyunwoo received new orders from Daehyun. It was time to escalate. No more small outposts, no more random patrols. They were going to hit something big. Council Military Base, Sector 7. Hyunwoo told his squadron. 2,000 soldiers. Orbital defense platforms. Fleet support. We're 15 fighters, someone protested. That's suicide. Then we die taking as many of them as possible, Yunbi said calmly. Does anyone have a problem with that? No one did. They hit the base at shift change when the defenses were rotating crews. Ghost Squadron appeared from nowhere, already firing. The orbital platforms exploded before they could power up. The defense fleet scrambled, but the human ships were too fast, too agile. Yunbi flew through a storm of weapons fire, her ship dancing between explosions. She targeted the base's power core and fired every weapon she had. The explosion lit up the entire sector. When the smoke cleared, the base was gone. So were most of the defense fleet. Ghost Squadron had lost 3 ships, but they had killed 2,000 aliens, and they broadcast the entire battle on every council channel they could access. We survived. Hyunwoo's voice echoed across the galaxy. We remember Earth, we remember our families. We remember our homes, and we are coming for all of you. The message spread like fire. Every species in the council heard it. Every world, every station, every ship. Humanity was not extinct. Humanity was hunting them. Fear spread faster than any weapon. Council species started arguing among themselves. Who was responsible for Earth's destruction? Why didn't they finish the job? How many humans were really out there? Soldiers started deserting. Civilians demanded protection. The Council's unity began to crack. In the darkness of space, Ghost Squadron regrouped with the main fleet. They had lost friends, but they had accomplished something more important. They had shown the Council that humanity was not prey. Humanity was the predator. Good work, Daehyun told Hyunwoo. Rest and repair. Next phase begins in 1 week. What's the next phase? Hyunwoo asked. Daehyun's expression was hard as stone. We stop hiding. We bring the full fleet. We show them what happens when you wake the sleeping dragon. Throughout human ships, warriors prepared. Engineers finished weapons. Strategists planned attacks. Medical staff prepared for casualties. Everyone knew what was coming. The ghosts had done their job. Now it was time for open war. 18 months after Earth burned, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. 12 species gathered in their grand chamber, but the unity they once shared was gone. Now they shouted at each other, blamed each other, and feared each other almost as much as they feared the humans. This is your fault, the Valorian representative screamed at the Thalorian counselor. You pushed for the complete elimination. You said there would be no survivors. We destroyed their homeworld. The Thalorian shot back. How were we supposed to know some ships escaped? Borum Lim watched from the shadows. She had been an intelligence agent before Earth fell, stationed deep undercover on a council world. For 18 months she had carefully positioned herself. Now she served as aide to a senior counselor, and they trusted her completely. They had no idea she reported everything to Daehyun. She listened as the council argued about their crumbling territories. Trade routes were disrupted. Outposts were burning. Ships were disappearing, and none of them could agree on how to respond. We should negotiate, one species suggested. Offer the survivors a world of their own. Make peace a peace? The Thalorian counselor laughed. They're hunting us. They want revenge, not territory. Then we hunt them back, another counselor said. Mass every fleet. Search every dark corner of space. Find them and finish what we started. And what if they're everywhere? Someone asked quietly. What if they've already infiltrated our worlds? The chamber fell silent. They were all thinking the same thing. Could humans be hiding among them? Were their own people compromised? Borum sent a coded message to Daehyun that night. The council was fracturing. 3 species wanted peace. 4 wanted total war. 5 wanted to retreat and protect only their core worlds. The alliance was dying. Seojun Kwon received this intelligence and smiled. He was a psychologist before the war, helping people with their problems. Now he used his understanding of minds to break them. He studied the council's political structure and found every weakness, every pressure point. Hit the Valorians next, Seojun advised Daehyun. Make it look like the Thalorians ordered it. Then hit a Thalorian colony and leave Valorian weapon signatures. Let them blame each other. The attacks were surgical and precise. A Valorian shipyard exploded. Witnesses reported seeing ships with Thalorian markings. The Valorian government demanded answers. The Thalorians denied everything. 3 days later, a Thalorian colony went silent. When the council investigated, they found evidence of Valorian sabotage. The two species nearly went to war with each other before someone suggested maybe, just maybe, the humans were manipulating them. But by then, the damage was done. Trust between council species collapsed. Nari Cho commanded the main human battle fleet. 12 warships built from salvaged parts in desperation. They were smaller than council vessels, but faster and more advanced. Humanity had spent 18 months studying captured alien technology and improving on it. "We've been shadows long enough," Daehyun told her. "It's time to show them what we've built." Nari understood. The ghost attacks had weakened the council, made them paranoid and divided. Now humanity needed to prove they were a real military force, not just scattered terrorists. She chose her target carefully. A council military installation in neutral space, 20,000 soldiers, orbital defenses, a full battle fleet for support. "We're outnumbered," her tactical officer observed. "We're always outnumbered," Nari replied. "That's why we have to be better." Woojin Bayek led the first assault. He commanded 300 Marines, the best fighters in the human fleet. They dropped on the installation in stolen council transport ships, bypassing most of the defenses before the alarms even went off. The aliens never stood a chance. Human Marines moved through the corridors like a storm. Their weapons were modified to penetrate council armor. Their tactics were unpredictable and aggressive. They had trained for this moment for 18 months, preparing for every possible scenario. Woojin fought at the front, leading by example. He had lost his entire family on Earth, his wife, his children, his parents. He fought with the fury of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. In 30 minutes, the installation fell. 20,000 aliens dead or captured, the orbital defenses destroyed. The support fleet scattered, and Nari broadcast it all. Every council world watched as 300 humans defeated 20,000 aliens. They watched human ships dance through weapons fire. They watched their military installation burn. They watched their soldiers surrender or die. At the end of the broadcast, Nari's face appeared on every screen. "We are humanity," she said calmly. "You tried to destroy us. You burned our world. You killed our people. You thought you eliminated a threat. Instead, you created one." She paused. "We survived. We adapted. We grew stronger, and now we're coming for all of you. Every world, every station, every ship. We will take everything you took from us. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Council species started fortifying their home systems. Ships refused to leave safe zones. Colonies demanded military protection. The economy collapsed as trade routes shut down. The council tried to organize a unified response, but they couldn't agree on anything. Some species wanted to surrender. Others wanted to fight to the last. Most just wanted to survive. Borum watched the counselors argue and sent updates to Daehyun. She identified which species were weakest, which leaders were most afraid, which governments were on the verge of collapse. 3 species are ready to break, she reported. The Kirans, the Drell, and the Zephids. They didn't want to destroy Earth in the first place. They were pressured into it by the bigger powers. If you offer them a way out, they'll take it. Daehyun considered this. "And if we offer mercy, then you show the galaxy that you can be reasoned with," Borum said. "That you're not mindless killers. It might save lives, or it might make us look weak," Seojin countered. "Fear is working. Why change strategies?" Daehyun looked at his advisors. 50,000 humans left facing billions of aliens. They had momentum now, but could they maintain it? Should they? Contact the 3 species, Daehyun decided. Tell them we're willing to talk. But make it clear, we're not asking for peace. We're offering them a chance to survive what's coming. The messages were sent. 2 species responded immediately, eager to negotiate. The 3rd refused, still loyal to the council. Within a week, 2 council species officially surrendered to humanity. They opened their borders, shared their intelligence, and severed ties with the council. The galaxy watched in shock. The humans weren't just attacking. They were winning. They were taking territory. They were building an empire on the ruins of the council's power. And the worst part? They had barely started. 2 years after Earth's fall, Humanity emerged from the shadows with a fleet that shouldn't exist. Admiral Sujin Ro stood on the bridge of the battleship Retribution, watching 30 human warships form up around her. Each vessel was a masterpiece of combined human and alien technology. They had taken Council designs and improved them, made them faster, stronger, deadlier. "All ships report ready," her tactical officer announced. Sujin nodded. She had been a science vessel captain once, studying distant stars. Now she commanded humanity's instrument of vengeance. "Signal the fleet. We're going to war." The Council had finally organized a response. They gathered their forces from across the galaxy. 5,000 ships, hundreds of thousands of soldiers, the combined might of 10 species. They outnumbered humanity 100 to 1. They were confident again. This time they would finish the job. The two fleets met in the empty space between star systems. The Council formation was textbook perfect, massive and overwhelming. The human fleet looked like a tiny cluster of insects facing a giant. "They're hailing us," the communications officer said. "The Council commander wants to offer terms of surrender," Sujin laughed. "Tell them we accept their surrender. They have 5 minutes to abandon their ships." The Council commander's face appeared on screen, features twisted in rage. "You insolent creatures. We will—" Sujin cut the transmission. "All ships attack Pattern Omega. Show them what happens when you corner a predator." Human ships moved like nothing the Council had seen. They didn't hold formation. They didn't follow predictable patterns. They scattered and attacked from 100 directions at once, each ship operating independently but working together perfectly. Council ships fired, but the humans were always somewhere else. Human weapons punched through shields that were supposed to be impenetrable. Human tactics were chaos and fury combined with precision. Donghyun Park led the Marine boarding parties. While the space battle raged, his teams launched in small attack craft, landing on Council ships and taking them from the inside. They moved through corridors with brutal efficiency, killing anyone who resisted, securing vital systems. "Bridge secured," Donghyun reported from inside a Council battleship. "Engineering secured. This ship is ours." Across the battlefield, the same thing happened again and again. Council vessels fell silent as human Marines captured them. The aliens had never faced enemies who fought like this, who turned their own ships against them. Within 3 hours, the battle was over. The Council fleet was destroyed or captured. Thousands of ships lay burning in space. The humans had lost 4 vessels, 4 ships lost, 100 to 1 odds, complete victory. Erin Lee watched the aftermath on screens throughout the galaxy. She directed humanity's information war, making sure everyone saw what happened. Every species, every world, every station, she broadcast footage of the battle. She showed Council ships exploding. She showed human Marines walking through alien corridors unopposed. She showed captured Council officers begging for mercy. But she also released other information, lists of Council leaders who had ordered Earth's destruction, evidence of their meetings where they planned the attack, recordings of them celebrating as billions of humans died. "These are your leaders," Erin's message spread across the galaxy. "These are the ones who murdered an entire species. Ask yourselves, are they worth dying for?" Riots broke out on Council worlds. Civilians turned against their governments. Some demanded peace with humanity. Others demanded their leaders be handed over to face justice. The Council's grip on power weakened with every passing day. Min Ji-yoon didn't work with the fleet. She led black operations teams that operated in the shadows. Her specialty was hunting Council leadership specifically. Councillor Varric, who had first proposed Earth's destruction, died in his sleep. No signs of violence. The medical examiner said it was heart failure. Only Minji knew about the poison that left no trace. General Thrawn, who commanded the initial attack on Earth, was assassinated while giving a speech. The sniper was never found. One by one, the people responsible for Earth's burning died mysteriously. Some in accidents, some to illness, some simply disappeared. Minji left her calling card at each site. A small holographic image of Earth burning with words beneath, "Remember what you took." The Council leadership lived in fear. They surrounded themselves with security, moved to secret locations, took every precaution. It didn't matter. Minji always found them. How was she doing this? A Council security chief demanded. "We have the best protection in the galaxy." "She's human," someone replied quietly. "They're not like us. They don't follow our rules." They don't think like we do. 3 more council species surrendered. They came to Daehyun directly, offering complete capitulation in exchange for their survival. Humanity accepted, then immediately replaced their governments with human-controlled administrations. You promised mercy. One alien leader protested as human soldiers marched through his capital. I promised you would survive, Daehyun corrected. I never said you would remain in power. You participated in genocide. There are consequences. The executions were public. Every council member who voted for Earth's destruction faced trial and then death. The galaxy watched as humanity delivered justice. Some called it revenge. Others called it necessary. No one could stop it. Sujin's fleet grew larger. They captured council shipyards and started building more vessels. They recruited from conquered species, training aliens to fight alongside humans. Within months, humanity commanded 200 warships. We're not just fighting anymore, Sujin observed during a strategy meeting. We're building an empire. Is that a problem? Daehyun asked. Sujin thought about Earth, about 8 billion dead, about everything they lost. No, she said finally. Never again will humanity be at someone else's mercy. If that means we rule the galaxy, so be it. The remaining council species made desperate last stands at their homeworlds. They fortified their systems with every weapon and defense they had. They swore to fight to the last being. Humanity gave them the chance. One by one, human fleets arrived at council homeworlds. The battles were fierce. The aliens fought desperately, defending their homes the way humans wished they could have defended Earth. But desperation wasn't enough. Humanity had become too strong, too advanced, too determined. The council homeworlds fell. In the wreckage of the Galactic Council chambers, Daehyun stood looking at empty seats. 12 species had once ruled the galaxy from this room. Now 6 were completely conquered. 3 had surrendered. Only 3 remained free. Send a message to the last 3 species, Daehyun ordered. Tell them it's over. Tell them to surrender or be destroyed. Their choice. 2 species surrendered immediately. The Thalorians, the ones who first proposed humanity's elimination, refused. We will never bow to lesser beings, their leader broadcast defiantly. We would rather die as a proud species than live as slaves to humans. Daehyun looked at Yuna Song, who stood quietly nearby. Release it, he said. Yuna had spent 2 years perfecting her creation. A virus specifically designed to target Thalorian biology. It spread through the air, through water, through any contact. It was efficient, painless, and absolutely lethal to Thalorians, and completely harmless to every other species. Are you sure? Yuna asked. This will kill billions. They killed billions of us, Daehyun replied. And they said they'd rather die than surrender. Let's give them what they want. 3 years after Earth burned, the Galactic Council no longer existed. In its place stood the Terran Empire, and humanity ruled with absolute authority. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon Song commanded 200 warships built in shipyards on conquered worlds. His crews included both humans and aliens who had sworn loyalty to the Empire. He wasn't fighting for survival anymore. He was reshaping the galaxy in humanity's image. Status report, Ji-hoon ordered from his command ship. All sectors secured, his tactical officer replied. The last Thalorian resistance was eliminated this morning. We control 63 species now. Total population under Terran authority, 200 billion. From 50,000 survivors to rulers of 200 billion subjects in just 3 years. Haeun Kim had been appointed humanity's chief judge. She reviewed the actions of each species during Earth's destruction. Her job was to decide their fate based on how willing they had been to participate in the genocide. She sat in a chamber that once belonged to the council, reading through endless files. Some species had been forced to participate, threatened with destruction if they refused. Others had been eager, celebrating Earth's fall. The Kirans were coerced, Haeun announced her judgment. They voted for Earth's destruction only after being threatened. I grant them autonomous status within the Empire. They may keep their government but will follow Terran law. The Kirans accepted gratefully. They would survive with some dignity intact. The Valorians celebrated our deaths, Haeun continued. I've seen footage of their populations cheering as Earth burned. They held festivals to mark humanity's extinction. Her voice was cold. They will be granted no autonomy. Direct Terran governance. Their leadership will face execution. Their military will be dissolved. Similar judgments fell across dozens of species. Some were shown mercy. Others received none. Taehyun Jung worked on the new Galactic Order. He had been a political scientist before the war, studying government structures. Now he was designing how the galaxy would function under human control. All species will use human technology standards, Taehyun explained to the governing council. All trade will be conducted in human currency. All children will learn human language alongside their native tongue. Some species are protesting, someone mentioned. They say we're erasing their cultures. They erased ours completely, Taehyun replied. They burned our homeworld. They tried to eliminate every trace that humanity existed. We're being generous by letting them keep their cultures at all. New laws spread across the galaxy. Human ships patrolled every major trade route. Human administrators oversaw every significant world. Human military bases were established in every system. The chaos of the old council was replaced by the Iron Order of the Terran Empire. Not everyone accepted this new reality peacefully. Resistance movements formed on some worlds. They attacked human outposts, sabotaged facilities, spread anti-Terran propaganda. Jihoon's response was swift and brutal. When rebels attacked a human settlement, he didn't just hunt the rebels, he occupied the entire planet. When a species harbored resistance fighters, their government was replaced. You're creating more enemies, one of his officers warned. These heavy-handed tactics are making people hate us. Let them hate us, Jihoon said, as long as they fear us more. But there was one final threat remaining. The Thalorians had refused surrender. They chose death over submission. Now Yarano held humanity's ultimate weapon. She met with the Thalorian leadership in a secure communication. You have 72 hours, she told them. Any Thalorian who wants to live should evacuate their system. After that, we deploy the Star Killer. You're bluffing, the Thalorian leader said. No species would destroy an entire sun. That's genocide on a scale even worse than what we did to Earth. You're right, Yaren agreed. It is worse. But you taught us that genocide is an acceptable solution to threats. You showed us that destroying an entire species is justified if you're afraid of them. We learned from you, the Thalorian leader's face paled. You wouldn't dare. 72 hours, Yaren repeated. Your choice. The countdown began. At first, most Thalorians stayed. They didn't believe humanity would actually do it. But as the hours passed, some began to have doubts. Ships started leaving the Thalorian system. The evacuation became a flood. Families packed what they could carry and fled. 1 million Thalorians escaped their doomed system. 3 billion remained, either unable to leave or refusing to believe the threat was real. 72 hours passed. Yaren deployed the weapon. The device was small, barely larger than a fighter craft. It dove into the Thalorian sun and activated. The reaction was immediate and catastrophic. The sun collapsed in on itself. The Thalorian homeworld and every planet in their system was pulled into the dying star. 3 billion beings died in moments as their sun became a black hole. The galaxy watched in horror. Every species, every world, every being with access to sensors saw the Thalorian sun die. They saw an entire species eliminated more completely than even Earth had been. Humanity had shown them something worse than death. They had shown them extinction so complete that nothing remained. Not even ruins. Not even a planet to remember them by. You've gone too far, Haeon told Daehyun privately. The Thalorians were beaten. They posed no threat. This was pure revenge. They wanted to die rather than submit, Daehyun replied. I gave them exactly what they asked for. That's not justice. That's massacre. They started this, Daehyun said. They burned Earth. They killed 8 billion humans. Everything we've done, every death we've caused, every world we've conquered, it all traces back to their decision to try eliminating us. So we become worse than they were? Haeon demanded. We become the monsters they feared? Daehyun looked at her with tired eyes. We became what we had to be to survive. Whether that makes us monsters is for history to judge. Across the galaxy, species that had been considering resistance abandoned those plans. The message was clear. Submit to the Terran Empire or face complete annihilation. Peace came to the galaxy. But it was the peace of subjugation, enforced by fear and military might. No species dared challenge human authority. No world refused Terran law. Jihoon stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at displays showing the entire galaxy. Green lights marked Terran-controlled systems. There were thousands of them. Humanity ruled supreme. Is this what victory looks like? His second-in-command asked quietly. Jihoon thought about Earth, about everyone they lost, about what they had become in the quest for revenge. I don't know, he admitted. But it's what we have. In her chamber, Yaren looked at the Star Killer weapon designs. 11 more remained sitting in secure storage. 11 more suns that could die if humanity deemed it necessary. She wondered if Dr. Minho, who designed the original weapon, would be proud or horrified by what his creation had accomplished. She suspected he would be both. 5 years after Earth fell, Chancellor Seojin Park sat in a palace built from the ruins of the old council chambers. Through massive windows, she watched ships coming and going from the capital world of the Terran Empire. Human ships, alien ships, all flying the same flag now. She was a hero to humanity, the woman who helped transform survivors into conquerors. But late at night, when she was alone, she looked in mirrors and wondered who was looking back. Chancellor, the morning reports, her aide said, bringing in data tablets. Reports from across the galaxy. Production numbers, security updates, diplomatic summaries. The routine business of running an empire. Seojin read through them mechanically. A mining operation on a former council world exceeded quotas. Good. A resistant cell was eliminated on a distant planet. Expected. A new human colony was being established in a system cleared of its previous inhabitants. Standard procedure. When did this become normal? When did she start reading about displaced populations and eliminated resistance like weather reports? In a medical facility on the edge of human space, Min Seok-han lay dying. At 97 years old, he was one of the last of the original 50,000 survivors. His body was failing, but his mind remained sharp. Young people visited him constantly, asking to hear stories of the old days. They wanted to know about Earth, the world they had never seen. They wanted to hear about the desperate flight, the hiding in darkness, the first strikes against the council. Tell us about the revenge, they would say, eyes shining with admiration. But Min Seok would shake his head. You don't understand. Revenge doesn't feel like victory. It feels like loss extended forever. He spent his final days writing a memoir trying to capture what it felt like to live through humanity's transformation, trying to explain how they went from victims to victors to something else entirely. We won, he wrote. But I'm not sure we survived. Chae Young-shin represented the new generation. She was born on a colony ship 2 months after Earth fell. She never saw humanity's homeworld, never knew peace, never experienced life without war. She and thousands like her were raised in the fleet, trained for combat from childhood. To them, Earth was mythology, a sacred lost place but not real. Their reality was this: humanity as the galaxy's dominant power, ruling through strength and fear. Why do the old ones always look so sad? Chae-young asked her commander. We won, we rule the galaxy. Shouldn't they be happy? They remember what we were before, the commander replied. We were explorers, scientists, artists. Now we're conquerors. That's a hard change to accept. But if we hadn't changed, we'd be extinct, Chae-young argued. They should be proud, should they? The commander wasn't sure anymore. In a quiet university on a human-controlled world, Professor Kyung-soo Im published a book that changed everything. He was a historian and philosopher, and he had spent 3 years compiling evidence of humanity's actions since Earth's fall. The book was titled, We Became What They Feared. Kyung-soo documented everything. The massacres of surrendering enemies, the collective punishment of entire species for the actions of their leaders, the erasure of cultures that resisted, the biological weapon used on the Thalorians, the complete destruction of their sun. The Council destroyed Earth because they feared what humanity might become, Kyung-soo wrote. They saw our rapid advancement, our aggressive expansion, our capacity for violence. They were afraid we would dominate the galaxy through conquest. By trying to prevent this future, they created it. We became exactly what they feared we would be. Not because it was our nature, but because their actions forced us to become it in order to survive. The book spread across human space like fire. Some called Kyung-soo a traitor. How dare he question humanity's righteous revenge? Others called him brave for speaking truth. Protests erupted on human worlds. Some demanded Kyung-soo be arrested for sedition. Others demanded the government acknowledge its excesses. Seojin read the book in her palace, tears streaming down her face, because she knew every word was true. What do we do? Her advisors asked. Do we suppress the book? Arrest the author? No, Seojin said quietly. He's right. About all of it. She called an emergency session of the Terran Council. Leaders from across the Empire gathered, both human and alien. We need to discuss what we've become, Seojin told them, and what we want to be going forward. The debate lasted for days. Hardliners argued that strength and fear kept the empire stable. Any weakness would invite rebellion. Progressives argued that ruling through terror would eventually destroy them from within. In the middle of these debates, a new transmission arrived. It came from beyond explored space, from a region no one had mapped yet. "We are the Ascendancy," the message said. The transmission showed beings unlike anything in the galaxy, advanced, powerful, and clearly watching humanity's expansion with concern. "We have observed your species. We have seen what you do to those weaker than yourselves. We have seen your conquests, your cruelty, your domination. This cannot continue." The message was clear. Submit to the Ascendancy's judgment or face war with a species far more powerful than the old council ever was. Seojin gathered her military commanders. Jihoon looked at the strategic analysis. "They have superior technology. Larger numbers. If we fight, we might lose. If we submit, we become subjects again," someone else argued. "After everything we've done, after all we've sacrificed, we would be conquered. Or," Chaeyoung said quietly, "we could change." Everyone looked at the young officer. "What if we're not the empire of fear anymore?" She continued, "What if we show them we can be better? Not because we're weak, but because we choose to be." "After everything we've done?" an admiral scoffed. "Who would believe us?" "We would have to prove it," Chaeyoung said. "Give autonomy back to species we conquered. Release control of their governments. Establish fair laws instead of military rule. Show the galaxy we can lead without terror." "That's suicide," a general said. "The moment we show weakness, the empire will fracture." "Or," Seojin said slowly, "the empire will transform into something that lasts. Not because species fear us, but because they choose to stay." She thought about Kyung-soo's book, about Min-seok's memoir, about the young generation like Chaeyoung who wanted to build, not just destroy. "We face a choice," Seojin announced. "We can continue as we are, ruling through fear until someone stronger comes along and does to us what we did to the council. Or we can attempt something harder, become a species worthy of survival, not just capable of it." The vote was close, but it passed. The Terran Empire would begin reforms. Species would be given more autonomy. Military occupation would be reduced. Laws would be made fair. It wouldn't be easy. Many humans would resist, wanting to keep their dominance. Many aliens would be skeptical, remembering what humanity had done. But it was a chance to be something other than conquerors. Seojin sent a response to the Ascendancy. "We acknowledge our actions. We acknowledge what we became. And we are choosing to change. Not because you demand it, but because it's right. Judge us not by our past, but by what we do from here." The Ascendancy's response was simple. "We will watch. Time will tell if humanity can truly change, or if you will always be what you became when you were hurt." Seojin stood in her palace, looking out at the galaxy humanity now controlled. She thought about Earth, about 8 billion dead, about everything they had lost and everything they had done. She thought about what they had awakened in themselves when they were pushed to the edge of extinction. And she hoped, desperately, that they could find their way back from the darkness they had embraced. In the distance, young humans and aliens worked together, building something new, not perfect but possible. Not an empire of fear, but maybe someday a community of equals. Min-seok died that week, his memoir complete. His last words were recorded. "We survived the Council's genocide. The question is, can we survive what we became afterward?" It was a question the galaxy would spend generations trying to answer.